50 watt Heatvape Invader Mini. The Heatvape Invader Mini was an old device. It was really popular somewhere around mid-2015. I never ended up getting one when it was popular, but it was something that I always wanted. Well, a few months ago, I saw a vendor having a clearance sale on these for only $10 each, so I finally picked one up. Two, actually. I gave one to a friend. I watched a lot of reviews for this when it first came out, and they all showed how durable this device is. People would run it over with cars, they would take it outside and throw it as far as they could, and even submerging it underwater for long periods of time, longer than an hour even. For example, Fresh 03, he did this during one of his live shows, and if you've ever watched one of his shows, you know that his shows are really long, like 2 or 3 hours long. So in all of these cases, the Invader Mini came through working perfectly. So I'm not going to do any of those tests. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the device and give you some of my thoughts on it. Okay, first let's talk specs. So you can get this in black, blue, gray, yellow, green, and purple. And these are the colors that it was originally released in. Because the device is a little bit older now, you might not be able to find it in all of those colors. It does have a waterproof level of IPX4, which means that it's safe from splashed water from any direction. The output power is 1 watt to 50 watts. The output voltage is 1 volt to 9.9 volts. The ohm limit is 0.1 to 1 ohm in temperature control mode and 0.16 to 2 ohms in wattage mode. It requires one 18650 battery, which isn't included, and it does have temperature control on nickel wire only. And the price originally was around $60. So in the box, you get only the Invader Mini itself and a user manual. The first thing I notice about this is it's pretty heavy. It doesn't tell you which way the battery goes. There's no plus or minus sign. The manual also doesn't say. So I'm just gonna have to assume that positive goes up. Now as for the battery chamber, it's a solid metal tube. There doesn't appear to be anything that could break or wear down in there. The battery chamber just goes to show how durable and high quality this device is. 5 clicks turns it on. So let's put an atomizer on there. Seems to have a bit of a gap. There is a ring at the top of the device that you can screw to adjust to fill the gap between the atomizer and the device, if there is a gap. So when you put a new atomizer on there, it says new coil up, same down, so that's plus or minus. So new coil, press plus, and it'll automatically adjust to whatever the ohm resistance is of that atomizer. If you want to lock your wattage setting, you just hold plus and minus together. When you're in locked mode, you can press the fire button 5 times quickly to lock the device, and another 5 times to unlock it. When it's in locked mode, it won't fire and the output power will not adjust accidentally. And now you can't change any of the settings. If you want to go into stealth mode, so first you have to lock the power, then you have to lock click fire, and then hold fire and minus to go into stealth mode, 5 seconds. And this setting does save to the internal memory. So if you take the battery out of the device, it will remember it when you put a battery back in. If you want to flip the display while it's in locked mode, you press fire and plus for 5 seconds. There you go. Right mode, left mode. The 510 is not spring loaded, and that means that if your atomizer doesn't have a long enough 510 pin, it might not make a good connection. This would have to be an extremely short 510 pin to cause an issue and is not at all likely, but it could happen. Now the reason that they did this is so that the device is water resistant. If the 510 was spring loaded, water would be able to get through to the chip. Go in temperature control mode, have the device locked, and then hold plus and minus for 2 seconds. To exit, press the fire button. You're able to go from 200 degrees Fahrenheit to 600 degrees Fahrenheit. So in the manual, it tells you to hold the fire button and the plus button to go into temperature mode, but that doesn't actually work. I think that might have been on the first version of this. I don't know what model this is, what version it is, but on this model, that doesn't work anymore. That will flip the screen. So instead, you have to go into locked mode, so press that 5 times to lock it, then hold plus and minus, and that will take you into temperature control mode. And from there, you can adjust the temperature. And the Invader Mini, this only works with nickel wire. That's the only wire that it works with in temperature control mode. Because this device came out when temp control was really just coming out. So yeah, it doesn't support any other wires. We would hope that it doesn't glow red. And it looks okay. Let's turn up the wattage. All right, all the way up to 50 watts. And you can see when I fire it, I don't know if you can see the screen there, it's a little blurry, but it's saying 0.9 watts, 8 watts, 9 watts. So it's not even getting up to 1 watt. So temperature control does seem to be working on a coil without cotton. So let's put some cotton in there real quick. All right, there's totally dry cotton. And same thing, 0.8, 0.9, 1. So temperature control is working on dry cotton. Let's get some e-juice on there. Started at 5 watts and it's dropping down, 7.8, 3, 2.7, 3.0, 0.8, 1.3, and now it's mostly dry, so 1.9, 1.4, 4.3, 1.1. So yeah, it's not really doing anything. Cotton looks good. For nickel wire, temp control looks like it works pretty well. And that's it. So as you can see, it's a pretty simple temperature control wattage device. It has very nice clicky buttons. You can hear them clicking. This looks like a button, but it's not. I really like the nice bright screen. It might not come in through the camera, but it's really bright and blue. The controls move pretty quick too. So it feels very comfortable in the hands for the most part. Firing the device facing inward with my thumb, the Invader Mini is slightly uncomfortable because it sits below my palm, but firing the device facing outward with my index finger feels good to me. All right, let's talk function. So it works great. I've used this for several months now with no issues at all. It seems to fire at the 50 watts that they say it does, and I've used this with many different atomizers and I haven't had any problems with it not firing. The menu system is confusing. Having to lock the device before changing some of the settings makes it a little difficult to use. It seems like they could have come up with a better menu system. The Invader Mini will shut off automatically after a few seconds and will fully shut down after an hour without use, but there's no way to manually force the device to fully turn off without removing the battery. Alright, so let's go through some pros and cons real quick. So let's start with the dislikes. You can't completely turn it off without removing the battery. The user manual is not accurate. Temp control only works with nickel wire. It's heavy. It only goes up to 50 watts. The battery screw cap is a little hard to unscrew. You can't charge the device with the charging cable. It has a non-spring-loaded 510. The menu system is confusing, and single battery devices don't hold charge throughout the day at high wattages. Alright, now let's talk about my likes. The device is extremely durable. It's practically waterproof, though not rated as waterproof. The top cap is adjustable to remove gaps between atomizers. Temp mode works great. Buttons are nice and clicky, the battery screw cap is airtight, and it has a removable battery. So obviously all of those are personal preferences. They might not matter to you, some might, but those are just some of the things I wanted to point out. Overall, I think it's a really good device, and I've really been enjoying using it.